Okay, we're all set when you're ready.
I think the chairman stepped out for a minute.
Okay, wait for the chairman. So Ellie, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay.
Ready when you are, Mr. Chairman.
Go for it.
Okay. The September 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission is about to be convened as a precautionary measure to reduce the spread of coronavirus. All town buildings are closed to the public. Therefore, this meeting will be held by remote participation. My name is Kelly Grant and I will be moderating participation for this meeting. I'll now turn it over to the chair of the meeting.
Thank you, Kelly. My name is Ed Foops and I'm the chair of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission. I will begin by taking a roll call for quorum. David Bernstein.
Here.
Rick Bishop.
Here.
Tom Durkin.
Here.
Ed Foops is here. Paul Huggins.
Here.
Ellie Lawrence.
Here.
And Patricia Mulhern.
Yeah.
All right, with a quorum present, the full board, I will now call the meeting to order. I will now ask the moderator to explain how remote participation works. Kelly.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 23, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings as provided for in the order. Persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by watching this virtual meeting or the live feed on the Town of Yarmouth YouTube channel. You may also listen to the audio by dialing into the number provided on the meeting notice. We will also post a recording of the meeting on the Town of Yarmouth website as soon as we're able. Please be patient as we work to overcome any technological challenges with the virtual meeting. To reduce confusion during the meeting, all participants will be muted by the moderator. As participants are called upon to speak, they will be unmuted. Applicants can raise their hand, can use the raise their hand button or press *9 on their phone to identify themselves to the chair. The meeting host will then unmute applicants when they are called upon to speak. During the portion of the hearing designated for public comment, the chair or moderator will ask who in the audience has any public comments or questions. Members of the public attending the meeting virtually will be able to make comments using the raise hand button within the virtual meeting or pressing *9 on their phone. Please wait for the chairman to recognize you before speaking. Members of the public who wish to provide comment are asked to identify themselves with their first and last name and affiliation for the public record and then provide their comment. Prior to concluding opportunities for discussion, comment, or question, the chair will ask a final time if anyone wishes to speak on the matter. All votes will be roll call votes. After a motion is made and there is a second, the chair will ask the moderator to take the roll call vote and will report the roll call vote. All motions, decisions, documents, and letters will be read verbally into the record. If it appears the meeting cannot or should not proceed, then the moderator will recommend the chair request to continue the hearing to a later date and time and/or until public meetings can resume normally. I will now hand the meeting back to the chair.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. We'll move right into the first order of business, which is a business item. This is a recommendation for conservation restriction for Simpkins Bog property at 555 Route 6A, Yarmouth. I hope everybody has gotten a chance to read through it. It was sent out earlier in the week. Kelly, any other comments or concerns with it?
No, we have Mark Robinson in the audience, and I have unmuted him in case he wants to speak to the request, but I have no further comments.
All right, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Mark Robinson, the Executive Director of the Compact of Cape Cod Conservation Trusts. And I'm here tonight to represent Jacqueline Rivero, who is graciously donating over a series of conveyances, approximately 30 acres of the old Simpkins Bog, which serves as part of the headwaters of Whites Brook that flows out into the Chase Garden Creek estuary. And this will be done in phases. The first phase is parcel A, as you see there on the screen, which is almost 11 acres. The western part of the bog with a little bit of frontage on Union Street. Parcel B would be donated 4 years later, and parcel C 4 years after that. And the reason for the sequencing is so that Ms. Rivero can take advantage of the state tax credit that's available to her for making donations of land that has conservation value. This land does, in addition to containing a major wetland, freshwater wetland, it also abuts the town well field on Union Street, and is more than half of it is in the zone 2, meaning the zone of contribution to the wells. So preserving this land is also preserving the water supply for the town of Yarmouth. So a conservation restriction is required as part of this tax credit program with the state. And we're here tonight to seek your recommendation to the selectmen. We hope that you will endorse this conservation restriction, which would be held by the Yarmouth Conservation Trust, a nonprofit group operating in the town of Yarmouth since 1988. And I'm here to answer any questions and hopefully get your endorsement.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I'm sorry?
I'm just asking commissioners if they have any questions or comments. I don't.
Yes.
Oh, okay, Rick.
Mr. Chairman, I must tell you, this is a very difficult one for me. 17 years ago, when I was on the town of Yarmouth land bank, we looked very carefully at this property and recommended against buying it because it was, in our estimation, it was non-buildable. I actually walked a portion of the property, and it seems to me the vast majority of this property is still unbuildable. Yes, there are some portions that may be, but it's a very difficult question for me because we're giving tax benefit to on property that is virtually wetlands, and I don't necessarily see the reason for that, and I'm sure Mark can speak to that, but I have real questions about this property for that reason. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Mark, do you have any comments?
Yes, there's no representation that this is buildable land. In fact, it's noted on the plan, which was approved by the planning board last night as an approval not required plan for conveyancing purposes only, that these are not building lots. They're not intended to be. There's no representation that they are. This is a donation of land by Ms. Rivero. Nobody is transferring any funds from the town of Yarmouth towards this acquisition. It's a private acquisition by nonprofit conservation organizations. And I think that the planning board expressed a unanimous vote of gratitude to Ms. Rivero for making this kind of donation to preserve the water supply of the town next door. The tax credit is coming to her from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which has a very rigorous program. Not everybody who applies is accepted as eligible to that program. It's based on appraisals done for the landowner, reviewed by the state, drilling down on all the particulars. And so I think you should want to rely on the rigorous scrutiny of the program coordinator in the Environmental Affairs Office that this is an appropriate property to preserve because of its wetlands protection values as well as its water supply protection, and that the tax credit that's available to Ms. Rivero from the state is appropriate and has been documented and quantified in a way that's been satisfactory to the state. The Conservation Commission's role in this is really one of recommendation to the selectmen, whether you think this land is important to preserve or not.
Okay, Mark, thank you for that clarification. I was not aware that this was effectively a state direct credit to her. I mistakenly thought there was Yarmouth revenue involved. So thank you again for clarifying that. And based on that information, I would change my opinion of it.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion or questions from the commissioners?
Tom,
Tom?
Yeah, I feel that if we have the opportunity to invoke conservation on any property in Yarmouth, we should most seriously consider it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Anybody else? If not, I will, oh, hello, Pat? Was that Pat?
No, I agree that it's a good thing to do.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Paul?
Yeah, I don't see the downside of it. It sounds like a great opportunity for the town.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else on the commission? I'll go over to the audience. Anybody in the audience who has any comments? I see no hands raised. Last chance for comment on this topic. If not, Kelly, do you have any other things to say about this, or?
I guess I just ask Mark, are you looking for a letter from the commission to the Board of Selectmen, or a memo to the Board of Selectmen?
Yes, assuming approval by the commission to recommend this land be taken under conservation restriction.
Okay.
The selectmen have the final review authority for the town, so any kind of a message to them, I think, would be appropriate.
Or I can send something on the commission's behalf if that's the path they choose.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Kelly, do we need to make a motion on this? Or just a recommendation?
I think we'll just make the motion will be to write a letter in support of the transfer.
I'd like to make a motion that we construct a letter enthusiastically recommending to the Board of Selectmen this particular project.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
I
Is there
second.
a second? Ellie, thank you. Kelly, if you would call the roll.
Sure. Hoops,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Mulhern,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Bishop,
Aye.
Huggins,
Aye.
Bernstein.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, everybody. Moving right on to the next order of business, we move into the notices of intent. The first one is Robert Griffin, Sweetheart Creek Association, Sweetheart Creek off Great Island Road, Yarmouth, Massachusetts, a proposed maintenance dredging of Sweetheart Creek. And we are having a request to be continued to September 17th. So if I may have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Thank you, Rick. Is there a second?
Second. David?
Okay, thank you, David. Kelly, call the roll, please.
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Hoops,
Aye.
Huggins,
Aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously to continue to September 17.
All right, thank you. Next order of business, another notice of intent for Constance Wright, 23 Circuit Road, Yarmouth, Massachusetts, proposed phased shoreline protection dormer retaining wall and grading within a coastal beach, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. I think that's Mark. If we can bring Mark up.
You're set.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yep.
Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, for the record, Mark Burgess of Shorefront Consulting, working on this project for Constance Wright. So Ms. Wright should be on the line also, and Lindsay Strode from Cape Organics, who is basically the designer. I'm the draftsman for this type of project. So
Hey, Mark, Mark, hold on for just 1 minute. That's just as a question
Yeah.
for you and the applicant. Seeing as this is all working, it's on Parker's River. It's all dependent upon tides that are in Parker's River. Considering that we are having a major restoration project going on, widening the Parker's River Bridge. Certainly things are going to change after after the bridge is widened. So my only question is, I'm just questioning and I'm asking the board, is there some sort of sense in listening to this now, because we are not going to be able to issue an order at this point until we see what's going on with the restoration, or with the, I'm sorry, with the bridge widening. Is there any?
You want me to answer that?
If you want to have an opinion, I'm sure you do.
Well, there is a method to our madness here, yes.
Okay, so we can hear that method?
I'd love to tell it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the first, we've been at this for almost a year. Ms. Wright initially approached me to see what options we had for getting rid of these ugly bricks. So the nature of the project can, everything can be installed with the exception of the marsh plantings, because those are the elements that are height sensitive. I did my own high tide analysis, not with my tide gauge, but from records available, and Kelly forwarded me the records from the bridge, which I was unaware of. Interestingly enough, we have exactly the same tidal range down to the 100th of a foot, but slightly different elevations. And yeah, we don't know what the tide's going to be like when they finish the bridge. But the idea was the bricks can come out of there, and phase one can be implemented with the triangle fiber rolls and the lifts, the choir lifts in front. All that can be done at most any time, and the applicant wants to get rid of the bricks as soon as possible. So what we intended to do was get approval for that portion of it, knowing that the plants have to go in later once we know what the tidal range is stabilized to. So that's the reason for filing it now, as opposed to when we were thinking about all this, the bridge construction hadn't even started. That's how long we've been at this. So that's the intent of why we're doing it now. If you want me to continue with the presentation, I will.
Okay. Is there any comment from commissioners, or would you like to just go ahead with this, knowing that we will have to continue at some point? Tom.
And I have a couple of questions. I see the collection of bricks is less than an attractive wall, and I can certainly see the desire to get rid of them. I understand that. I think we should consider the project as getting rid of them if the impact is not such that the water level will inundate the property. I do have another question. On page 1 of the 5, I don't know whether it was Constance Wright who used the term, I quote, Cape Cod lawn. Could that be explained to me? What is a Cape Cod lawn?
Okay, so for us, when we refer to a Cape Cod lawn, it's not a very good lawn. It's more of a lawn that's in its natural state, with or without weeds, not watered extensively, not fertilized extensively. The most extreme Cape Cod lawn are the ones you see that are nothing but pine needles.
Okay, it's you know, crabgrass and sand.
Anything green.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so to continue on, so the project is proposed in phases, and the very first phase, as I explained in the narrative, so phase 1 encompasses the entire 100 feet of shoreline, and that is getting rid of the bricks, putting in the triangle of fiber rolls, and then putting the choir lifts in front with stabilized with soil and jute. Phase 2 only applies to the area on the eastern side that is more highly elevated, you know, the steeper bank profile. so there's some debris on that bank. There's lots of leaves. I think there's a bed frame. So when we take that out of there, we're not really sure what the slope, the actual slope is. So if the fiber rolls won't stabilize it enough, then we'd have to grade that area back to a more sustainable slope, which means losing all of the trees. The applicant doesn't want to do that if we don't have to, but that's the second phase if need be. The third phase, nobody wants to do. The gabions are in the application because I don't want to go through permitting again. We can put special conditions in the order that say that after logged failed attempts, I mean valid failed attempts, not this where you throw it in and just let it go. None of us intend to do that. But after documented failed attempts, then phase 3 would be implemented. They would then require a Chapter 91 license, etc. So, but I can tell you, everybody online right now, including the applicant, don't want to do the gabions, but I don't want to repeat the permitting as well. So we can establish some conditions in the order that whether we go, that we have to come back before the commission perhaps, but just under this order to proceed to phase 3 and not until, we do so. So having said that, all of this is a natural solution. It's very similar to the quote living shorelines that have been approved in other areas of the Cape. And if you have any technical questions about it, Lindsay should be on the line and available. We do need a planting list, and the applicant is really versed in plants. She has some suggestions, so we could work out if any areas that need to be replanted, we could work that out as far as what plants you would be willing to accept in that area. I've given her the Barnstable list, and the other elements of the project, I'm sorry, I focused on the shorefront. So there is a proposed dormer within the current roof line, and that's hatched out on the site plan. And then if you were at the site, we staked out a short retaining wall. So the problem that's occurring is along the east side of the house where the bulkhead is, the runoff is concentrating in that area and going into the bulkhead and under the house, and the moisture's coming up, and it's just not a good thing. So what they want to do is put a short, and I mean like a 2-foot retaining wall along where I staked it out where it's shown on the plan, and then regrade away from the house, but then towards the street, so that the water will drain away from the house, not on the neighbor's property, kind of the reverse, and get it out toward the street. So that's another element of the project that they would like to do as well. So 3 different elements. The natural solution, of course, is the focus, and a phased approach. And with that, I guess I'll address questions.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Commissioners, questions?
The small retaining wall, how high would that be?
About 2 feet.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? No? Kelly, any questions?
Sure. So I had suggested a planting plan for if the area that's going to be regraded needs to be cleared. Well, if it needs to be regraded and cleared. So it'd be useful to have that on file. I did look up the schedule for the Parkers River Bridge just as an FYI, and at the moment it's scheduled to be complete by the May 2021. So that's the kind of time frame for the changes to be finalized with the changes in the high water and low water lines. I think I can understand what Mark is saying with regard to going ahead with other pieces of the project, but those water levels are going to be really important for getting the salt marsh plantings to be successful. So that's certainly going to have to wait until after that bridge project is finished. I think it would be useful to have some documented bar for what constitutes a reasonable attempt with the first phases, just so that everyone's kind of on the same page with that. It's not that they would throw it in and leave it to deteriorate, but just so there's the same expectation across the board. So I certainly think that having a trigger that the applicant comes back to Concom if they're looking to proceed to phase 2 and phase 3, then that would certainly be worth having another catch up with the commission on that. But also some ongoing monitoring in the meantime to actually show what is being done, how it's being done, and how it's being maintained. I did have a question about the proposed regrading, if that needs to occur, how it will tie into the abutting property. We kind of have a profile that shows the regrading, and we have a plan view that kind of stops at the property line. So it would be useful to show how that's going to tie in with the abutting properties grading, and if there is the likelihood of any detrimental impacts to their bank stability, just so that we're across that. So that could be addressed in advance if there was any potential for impacts. And then we have DMF comments, which required a time of year restriction from April 1st through June 15th of any year. Obviously the salt marsh to be planted at correct elevation, and special care to protect the existing salt marsh at the site. So there would need to be also a condition for mitigation of any salt marsh that's lost in the process of this project. And then we do not have a DEP file number for the project, and we also will need to get a stamped plan. The plans we have at the moment are not stamped, they were being finalized. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Any further discussion among the commission?
Well, I think with the Parker River Bridge, that's the big unknown at this stage of the game. They could be putting all this stuff in for the marsh restoration and then have it flooded out and have to redo it, which is a big expense for them. It might be in their best interest to wait until the bridge is done and everything stabilizes up in that area.
I believe I don't think they're unless I'm misunderstanding what Mark was saying, they won't be able to actually do any of the planting until, it would be at the very earliest May of next year of 2021, but then you're also going to have to take some time. So assuming the bridge gets finished right on time, and that's May of 21, then you're still going to need several months worth of tidal data before you can make any assessment on tide height. So you're looking at August of 2021. So I agree with what you're saying, Ellie, and that's why one of my biggest hesitations about the project. I think it's a good project. I just think it's ahead of time right now, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
Anybody else? Paul, were you raising your hand, or were you just?
No, I have a question. So is there
Okay.
any aspect of this project that would be safe to continue? Is that something that the commission would consider, or because it seems like work has to be done on the property and along the shoreline there? So is there anything that maybe could begin? Are the applicants looking for something like that?
Yes, well, I asked Connie when she wanted to do anything on the shorefront, and she's anxious to get the bricks out of there and get at least the shorefront protection part of it started as soon as possible, even this fall. with the time of year restriction from DMF, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Well, all of that stuff would have to be in prior to April 1st, or it would hold off after June 15th. And then I'm not sure people really want that kind of work going on in the summertime. So that's the focus of trying to get as much of it that has the ability to be done now, and then finish it or do the planting after the tidal range
Oh,
stabilizes. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, and I'm not entirely certain that I think the tidal range is certainly going to go up. I'm going to put my guess in now. As an ocean engineer, I'm looking at the tidal flows and what happened to Bass River. And when they opened the bridge, the tide went up, but the low tide did not go down because it was so shallow there that more water came in and out, but more water didn't leave. I think the same thing's going to happen here. There's a big sandbar at the north edge of this inlet. And I think that's going to restrict it. You know, obviously more water is going to be able to come in and you'll get better flushing. But I'm anticipating, I would bet you that if low tide increases more than 3 or 4 inches, I would be surprised. Low tide didn't increase at all on Bass River and Kelly's Bay. The tide didn't get any lower, and I had my tide gauge, to prove that. So that's my story. I'll stick to that, and we'll see who's right, a bunch of scientists or me. But yes, no matter what, we have to wait and see what happens with the tidal flow and elevation to do the planting. But now Lindsay's on the line, so he can talk to you from a construction standpoint, how he feels what can be done and what should wait.
Okay, so is there any further comments or questions from the commission?
I have a question, David.
All right, David.
Are the bricks doing anything right now besides being ugly?
Yes, they're definitely, the bricks extend above the current high tide line. So they are, in fact, protecting that shoreline from erosion.
So you would have to, if you took the bricks out, you'd have to build something there as soon as possible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from commission?
So,
All right,
a point of clarification, Ed,
Tom?
since there are 3 phases to this, it would be possible to approve a particular phase, for example, phase 1. I have a question that is Kelly's concern about a number on this, demanding the extension of this or the postponement of this? Kelly?
No, I have concerns with the timing of the project, just because I think it would be better to do it all in one go once we have better data. I understand that the property owner would like to remove the bricks now, but if we remove the bricks now and partially carry out the stabilization work, it kind of leaves it in limbo for a while and through winter. And I would feel more comfortable with completing the project in one go. But I could be convinced that there are no negative impacts. I'm not sure I have enough information to base that on at this point as to what it's going to look like in between. If we have to wait until, I guess, next summer or late summer in terms of planting to get a lot of the stabilization completed.
So it's more if we have a rain event or anything that goes pouring into that place and just runnels the whole area that's not vegetated, correct?
Yeah, or if we have, winter storms that affect on that area, like what is it going to look like in between now and then if the bricks were removed?
And no planning.
Yeah, so maybe Mark could just give a little more information on what that will look like in between.
Pardon me. This is the homeowner. I'm Connie Wright. May I make a brief statement?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to you, Connie. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's hear from your end from the
Okay,
other engineer
okay.
first, and we'll hear what he has to say, and then but I'm not ignoring you. I will get back
Okay,
to you in just a minute. Okay.
I just wanted to clarify the condition of this quote unquote brick wall. And if you take a look, it's falling down. So my worry is it will not make it through the winter.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Unless there's something more from the commission, let's go over to Lindsay and ask him for his comments. If we can, yeah, Lindsay, you're ready to go. You can go ahead.
Not here, Lindsay.
Lindsay?
I wonder if is Lindsay dialing in on the phone as well, or Mark, do you know?
Yeah, he's on a phone.
Oh, okay. Like I've unmuted somebody with the name Lindsay, but do you know which phone number? Is it 267 or 4942?
Let me look in my contacts here.
A *9 on the phone would show me which one you are.
Will you do it, Kelly?
I can just allow both of the people on the phone to speak and see who.
Which
Lindsay,
which phone
Lindsay,
number?
if you would hit the *9 on your phone, Lindsay.
We have 267. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right, now you just need to unmute yourself at your end. There you go.
All right, Lindsay.
Can you
now
hear
I think
me now?
Yes, we do. Yeah, good.
Oh boy, technology is awesome when it works.
Yeah, it's a great new way to do meetings, right?
It is. So 2 questions, and I'd just like to kind of add on to what Connie was saying, is that the current wall, as you guys are aware, it's not a wall per se, it's just rubble. And rubble in a deconsolidated form actually exacerbates erosion, particularly in wave events. Energy is transferred around, and I think Mark would concur, energy is transferred around the solid structure, and it just continues to sift material out from behind whatever structure is used. And that's why, bulkheads and revetments are tight fitting to, ameliorate those conditions. So just speaking to that, it would be better to take the bricks out and then immediately go through and stabilize the toe of the slope. And to your point about planting, we can plant really right up until the ground freezes of anything, in upland scenarios. The lower area that I would call the vegetated bench, that obviously would have to wait until such time that we get appropriate elevations. And seasonally, planting something like that in the fall, early fall, late summer, early fall is a great time to get vegetation established. And it would be going through a 1,000-gram mat, so it would be relatively stabilized in the event of storm issues after planting.
Okay, thank you. All right. Unless there's a direct question for Lindsay right now, I'm going to go to Connie. Did you have anything else to say, Connie, or was that the comment you wanted to make?
That was the primary comment. I also did want to note when Mark said rubble and whatnot, I purchased this property almost 4 years ago and inherited all this. So it's been a process of what do we need and what do we need to take care of. And it's not very pretty.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Further questions or discussion amongst the commission?
David?
David, go ahead.
Listening to all this, I might be wrong and the other commissioners can correct me, but it sounds to me,
What happened?
it sounds to me like doing the wall now, taking out the rubble and doing the wall now makes most sense in order to protect things. If I can be persuaded differently, but that's the way I'm starting to think as I listen to all this testimony. Someone else can help me with that, that would be great.
I missed what you said. Did you say makes no sense or makes some sense?
Makes sense.
Okay, makes sense.
Yes, sorry.
He's agreeing with you, Mark.
I know, no worries.
Anybody else on the commission?
Hey, Paul.
I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to agree with David from what I've heard.
Okay. Any further discussion among the commission? If not, is there anybody in the audience who has a comment on this project? This would be the time. This is your last chance to comment on this project. I see none. I'll go back. If there's any further discussion among the commission.
Yes, one other question. Can we vote for just phase one way and then do a separate motion and a separate vote for phase 2 and 3? Is that something you normally do? I don't know.
Well, we would have to do well, actually, we'll have to do the order of conditions as one, but you can address certain things in the phases. Since we are going to have to continue this anyhow for the stamped plan and DEP number, perhaps we should also consider, have Mark consider what the conditions are going to, or what's going to constitute those issues in terms of, a good faith effort for the various phases. And we could also maybe consider, because this is going to be I think this is going to be a fairly difficult set of order of conditions, or complex order of conditions, would give us some time to sort of craft something that is going to make sense for those 3 phases as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I could do that. I can suggest, I can do a write-up, a suggested, method protocol, for going to each phase. I did put a note. It's once we open up that slope, we may have to do phase 2. We're just not sure yet until we open up that side and see what's under all the leaves.
Yeah, so I think that would be helpful to have sort of everything in line.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful for the commissioners to look at that to help them make their decision as well. So.
Okay, I can draft something up for that. Karen was going to stamp the plan, I think 2 days ago, and I said, don't bother now. We want to add the plants onto the plan also. So Connie had some suggestions on plants, and she can either work that out with you guys, or we can work it out with Kelly separately. But I'd like to put a relative simple planting list on the plan also. So we'll finalize all that up, get this set stamped. I just looked on the DEP website. There's still no file number. I don't know why. They have it logged in, but there's no file number. So yeah, give us 2 weeks. We'll whip something up and see if we can finalize everything. But this way she can move forward with, well, I'd suggest phase 1 and phase 2 if the slope needs it. And then certainly get the dormer and the retaining wall and the grading done also.
Right. Okay. And Kelly, are you going to, would you like to see a planting list, or do you want to see a planting plan?
I think a planting plan would be useful for that area. Yeah, with a key.
Okay.
If I may, do we also want to see how it will affect the neighbor? With how he's going to do the runoff, what is it, on the east side?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the regrading.
Yes.
Yeah, how it'll tie into the bank. Yeah, on the neighbor's property. I don't know quite how you'll do that, whether you can extend the contours to show like show proposed contours on a plan view.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something so that we know how it's going to affect the other side, because yeah.
Yeah, I think you can do that. You could do that on the plan, right, Mark?
Yeah, that's kind of the landform there is kind of a point. You can see where the contours go out toward the water. So the idea would be to wrap those around landward, and the regrading would accomplish that. So I can work with Karen on some proposed contours.
Okay.
But that land, when you grade it back, is going to be lower than the neighbor, so there won't be any runoff directed toward their side.
Okay. All right. So is there any further discussion amongst the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Rick.
It seems to me that some of the trees right on the shoreline, I think one of them had experienced a little undercut from the wave action. Is that something we should discuss in advance? Because obviously with the increased flow into that pond, that undercut is going to increase. Should we give some direction as far as removing them before they do some additional damage when they fall in, or should we just kind of wait and see where it goes? Just curious to hear what the commission would say.
I would wait and see, but I would also have some sort of contingency, put into the planting plan as well.
Okay.
Just on the outside.
Yeah, there is one tree that's in line with, I think it's actually seaward of the bricks on its own little island, and that one's probably going to have to go. No matter what we do, I think that one has to go.
Yeah, I mean, the likelihood of that surviving, once the bridge is widened, you get more inundation and the inevitable sea level rise, that's probably on borrowed time as it is.
Right, and you're going to get an increase in salinity too, depending on how much freshwater influx there is into that pond. You're going to get a higher, no matter what, you're going to get a higher salinity, and that's going to change the perimeter vegetation also. If there's any phragmites, it'll help get rid of it, but on other areas around the pond. So yeah, that's all part of how it stabilizes.
Okay, Mark, are you going to be able to have a plan, a revised? Well, I guess what's mostly from the planting plan end of it, but will you be able to have something back within a week, because we typically require revisions or new plans to give us a week so we can look at them?
I understand. Yeah, I'll try. I know that Lindsay wants to work out the plants with Connie, and then I can sketch them onto the plan. I'll have to check with Karen and his schedule too.
Okay. Yeah, just so
we'll bump it 2 weeks, and if we can't get all that together by then we'll just bump it again.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that, because we've been keeping to that policy at this point. So.
Absolutely.
All right. If there's no further discussion among the commission, could I have a motion to continue to, we're going to try for September 17th with the conditions for DEP number, the stamp plan and planting plan, as well as Mark's protocols for the different phases.
So moved.
I'll move.
Right. Thank you, Rick. Tom, will you second?
Second.
Thank you. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Winstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Wilhan.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Connie. Next order of business is another notice of intent continued from let's see, August 20th, 2020, number 114 Upper County LLC for 16 Yarmouth, Massachusetts. Proposed end proposed and after the fact construction of a retaining wall, stairs and deck and tree work within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Is Brad
We have,
out there, or I didn't see Brad? Is there somebody?
yeah, we have Darren Meyer.
Oh, there we go, Darren. Okay, sorry.
I've just unmuted him.
Okay, Darren, you want to go ahead?
How are you? Yes, just addressing the comments from last meeting. We had the disease trees that we were concerned about have been flagged and were inspected by Michael Roma. We provided that comment letter to Kelly regarding his assessment of those trees. We also provided a planting plan which shows the 35-foot no touch line on it. It's also got the Mass DEP file number on there. And the proposed plantings were on the easterly slope, easterly property line of the property. We proposing some low bush blueberries, 3-foot centers at the lower part of the slope. And then some rhododendrons, 5-foot centers on the upper part of the slope. Happy to offer bayberries or viburnums as well in that area if that's not acceptable. I think that addresses the comments from last meeting.
Okay, thank you. I think so. Commissioners, any questions among the commission? If not, Kelly, do you have any further comments or concerns?
No, it looks good. My big red lines on the plan on the screen are just to indicate, because sometimes when we go back in time and we look at these plans, we can be kind of like, well, what was intended for that area? So I thought it was just worth making a note in these areas where there's no notation that these areas are currently natural and will remain natural. Just in case there was some confusion as to whether they were cleared areas and then the planting was beyond that. So apart from making that clarification on the plan, I have no problem with the plan as presented.
Okay, is there anybody in the audience has any comments, concerns on this proposal?
I see no
last chance. All right, then unless there's further discussion among the commission, would somebody like to make a motion to issue an order of conditions?
So moved, David.
All right, thank you, David. Is
Second, Ellie.
Ellie, thank you. Kelly, you want to call the roll?
For Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Hoops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulhern. Mulhern,
Just unmute.
Aye, sorry.
that's okay. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Next order of business is another continued hearing from August 20th, 2020. John Muscatel, 44 Grandview Drive, Yarmouth, Massachusetts, proposed changes to an existing pier and float facility on Bass River. I believe we were waiting for a plan which is being held up. So there is a request to continue this hearing until September 17th. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie. Is there a second?
Second, Pat.
Thank you, Tom. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Hoops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously to continue to September 17th.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, we're moving on to enforcement orders. Another continued enforcement hearing from August 20th, 2020. Francesco Melandri, 35 Andoras Lane, Yarmouth, Massachusetts, for restoration work on a coastal beach, coastal bank, land under a salt pond, and associated buffer zone to satisfy an enforcement order. We are waiting for a new plan. Unfortunately, we only got the new plan yesterday. And I personally would say that I would rather continue this only because I'd like to have a time to consider anything on new plans, which is what the board has always been want to do. So that's my opinion. I don't know if there's anybody else. If the rest of the board wants to hear it, then I'm willing to go ahead with that. But that's my opinion.
No,
Anything from any of the commission?
I agree with you, Ed. I haven't even seen the new plan yet if we got it yesterday. So unless we have it right here on this tiny little screen, I'd like to have the bigger one.
Yeah, it is the one. It is the one that's on the tiny little screen. But that's all we have right now. So any further comments from the commission? All right, Jen, are you unmuted?
I've allowed the number ending 942 to speak.
I think that's Jen.
Yep, I'm here, Jen Crawford from Crawford Land Management.
Okay,
I
so
apologize for, oh, can you hear me okay?
yeah, go ahead. You're good.
Okay, awesome. I apologize for not giving you guys a lot of notice. I guess honestly, I thought that it was more of an administrative matter where we had agreed to the square footage of salt marsh restoration and it needed to be shown on the plan. So that's what I did. Yeah, so that's what I did. So I apologize if that caught you off guard for any reason. I understand you haven't had a lot of time to look at it.
Yeah,
but there's been
so
no other.
Yeah, just so you understand, it's like I mean, generally we have a regulate, well, it's an unconfirmed regulation or whatever you want to call it, that we like to have at least 1 week prior notice so we can look at any plans in case anything, even if it is considered an administrative issue. And we've been holding to that policy now for several years. So, I'd just like to be able to have a chance to look at everything on a bigger plan so we don't have any surprises then, especially under an enforcement order. All right, so if there's any further discussion among the commission?
I'd like to see the plan so I can actually read it. David?
Okay. All right.
I make a motion that we continue this until the 17th of September, where we all have a chance to look over the plan.
Okay, thank you, Ellie. Is there a second?
Second, David.
Thank you, David. Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Next order of business, certificate of compliance which was continued from August 20th, 2020 for SE 83-2225 Jesse's Lane, Yarmouth, Massachusetts. I think we were looking at the flood vents, right? They are installed. Kelly says they're okay to issue. Is there any further discussion among the board? If not, may I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for SE 83-2226 Jesse's Lane, Yarmouth?
So moved, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Second, Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie. Kelly, call the roll, please.
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody. Moving on now to violations. We have one continued from August 20th, 2020 for 222 Pleasant Street.
We have Frank Lloyd, who I've just unmuted. And this was a complaint of new structures in the coastal beach area. You can see These images are aerials that you can faintly see some existing structures that were there previously in this area. And these were photos provided by the property owner that were of the structures that were there previously. And these are the new structures that were added to replace some of those, plus this new rack here on the right. There are also a number of watercraft that are still being stored on the vegetated beach area, which is of concern. And also this area has been cut of vegetation, which I think you can see in this area here as well. The vegetation has been, I think, mowed, which according to the property owner is to reduce the risk of ticks in this area.
Did you say ticks?
Yes.
All right, well, that's not likely tick habitat, but okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr. Bishop, go ahead.
I need to recuse myself from this,
Okay.
this discussion. Thank you.
All right, so let the record show that Commissioner Bishop has recused himself. Is there any comments or questions from the commission?
I have one, Kelly, on the aerial view. That's obviously Google Earth. Do you have a timeline on that?
No, this will be fairly recent because the pictures get fuzzier as you go back, so it's hard to know how long they've been there. I don't have permitting on file for these at any point, but it's hard to know how long they've been there.
Well, I do recall being there that the platform has been there, but I don't recall these like framed out things. Yeah, that platform there. I remember that being there, but I don't remember the frame out things being there.
Yeah.
And obviously it's looking at the houses in the back, it's obviously just recent because that house was built like 5 years ago.
Okay.
So I don't think the permitting goes back that far.
So the expansion of the structures relative to the size and the use of the property is getting fairly extensive compared to what we would generally allow for boat storage in a beach area. We do sometimes allow people to have a structure on the beach to keep the boats off the vegetation. But there were a large number of boats on this area, and now I think 3 or 4 structures.
Yeah, Kelly, can we talk?
Yeah, I'll get to you in just a minute,
Okay.
Mr. Lloyd. Yeah. All right, Ellie, you're good?
Yeah, I mean, what Kelly said is the amount of boats there. I mean, we allow that when it's an association beach, but there is quite a lot sitting on the
Yeah, I would agree.
vegetation area and a lot being stored in that area.
Well, Kelly, have you talked? Have you told them there's been no enforcement order other than, or there has been an enforcement order issued for this?
So far, there's been a violation notice just for me to meet with the property owner and take a look because I hadn't been out to the site. So I've been and visited and spoken with the property owners who wanted to have the opportunity to speak with you.
Okay. Is there any further comments from the commission first?
Yeah, Ed, Paul.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, I just had a question on those storage racks that were built there. I think Kelly said that sometimes we allow that, but these were built without permit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so usually we would allow them, but after going through then we might allow them after going through the permitting process. Is that correct also?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else on the commission? All right, I will go over to the Lloyds then and allow them to comment on any of this.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, fine. Yeah, well, yeah, no, I appreciate the chance to tell our story here. for those who are not familiar with our beach and our property, which has been in the family for 82 years, I just figured out, and we're still enjoying it very much. And we do enjoy the the use of our small boats for sailing. We love the small boat sailing, so that's the reason for the racks. But I would say we're glad to accommodate whatever you might think is proper. But we do use our boats for small boat sailing a lot and enjoy it. And as a result, we I would say among just about anybody on the river appreciate the river and want to have the river remain as healthy and as possible and still be used for small boat sailing. So that's certainly our primary interest. So we're glad to work out what we can here. In terms of the racks, they were simply replaced. This was after we got hit last summer on the nose by the tornado, and it did some damage to the beach, and we thought that by staying within the same footprint that we had with the old racks, that it would just be a lot more usable for us to change the design. But the footprint is essentially the same as we had before with the old racks.
The kayak rack is the end of the original rack. We just elevated it because we were getting ticks all summer. We did trim the vegetation because we had a lot of ticks, and two of our children, a child and a son-in-law, both have gotten Lyme's disease. So we're trying to, we know with COVID, with the animals running freer, that we had deer in our front yard. We know that that's great, but it brings problems along with it. So this double rack is just in the same ending as the original rack. We just elevated it, so we got the boats off of the vegetation. And these racks here are simply perpendicular bars going back. There are 4 of them instead of the great horizontal ones that we had. We took those off. We just simplified it because then the kids would actually put the boats up on the rack. Before they just left them, and as evidenced by some of the boats that are left there right now, they would just leave them on the grass, and that would bring more ticks back to the family too. We were trying to make it a situation where it would be better for everything. We, as far as permitting goes, we now recognize we should have come to you, said, and we want to change this. We weren't trying to, we didn't want to beat the system. But by the way, we have 11 grandchildren, and we take care of them most of the summer. So that's why we have 2 kayaks, 2 paddleboards. We actually have 5 opties. We only use 2 this year, or 1 most of the time, and 2 lasers. So when everybody's here, and Kelly came down when most people were here, we could have a lot of boats on the beach. And Ellie, you understand that. You had a lot big family too. So the boat racks have been there a long time. And the pictures I provided were more recent pictures. And I don't know what else I can say. I married into the family in 1965. The bench was there. They had some sort of a rack for their boats. And we got permits to get rid of poplars, and conservation came at that time, and the boat racks were there, and nobody ever said, wow, why do you have these boat racks? If they had mentioned that there is a permitting process, we would have certainly come to you. That's all I can say. We love Bass River. We care about it and don't want to hurt the life of it. It's we're friends of Bass River. I've been involved in Bass River since 1963. My husband since 1938, and there's and by the way, the grass we trimmed is all growing back. It's come back anyway. Let's help you.
Well, the grass will grow back. As I'm sure as everybody can appreciate, the ticks are a real problem for us, and we even after spraying twice, we've had on our lawn that we still seem to get.
Okay, I gotta jump in with thick talk here. First of all, beach grass is not considered a habitat for deer ticks or black-leg ticks that cause Lyme disease. So I think that's a non-starter there. If you were, you had mentioned you're spraying for ticks?
We have an organic company that comes by. It uses an organic treatment on our lawn. We don't spray on the beach.
Are you spraying in the dune grass as well?
No, I said just on our lawn.
All right. Kelly, do we have any plans that show these kayak racks at all? Any of them?
No.
Okay. To the Lloyds, how long have you lived at this location?
Well, our family's owned the house since 1938. That's 82 years. And
okay. Have you done any other filings with conservation before?
We have. We did a filing to remove invasive poplars. And at that time, we had the boat racks, and the conservation saw them and didn't say anything about them. And we did an extensive work with a group, and I think it was Orleans, and they did a wonderful job of removing the invasive poplars. And you approved it, and we're very pleased with the results, as were we.
Okay, so I'm just saying, is like if you've lived there for so long, you've had other filings with conservation. So obviously you have to file for activities that alter or the resource area or the buffer.
And I thought if you repaired something, I thought, well, we were repairing something, so we didn't think we had to file. I didn't think we had to file.
Yeah, we just thought in this case that we really weren't changing anything, and that it really wasn't necessary to file. But if you feel that's necessary, we're glad to do it.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the commission, see if anybody has any comments or questions. Anybody? Ellie?
If I could, Ed, the Rex, it did alter what was down there, that's for sure. My concern is looking at the boats that are sitting on the vegetation, and if they dollied the boats like yacht clubs do, often up off the beach and up onto their yard, if you dolly them, you wouldn't have to worry about the ticks that are down there. You wouldn't have to mow the grass down there to worry about it, which isn't a tick habitat. But a lot of these boats are lightweight boats, and they can be pulled up out of the resource area without an issue. I mean, it's just common sense. To me, it would be, instead of building these forms that are higher than the ones that were there, even though they were unpermitted. It's just an obstruction and to me would cause more erosion, but that's just my opinion.
Ellie, these pictures, well, the pictures don't show you the full picture, because when Kelly came down, we just had the boats resting on the beach. The children were up and had just finished using them. We boats, and the boats are on dollies, and at this particular moment they were going to go back out in the water, so they don't rest. It's misleading to look at these pictures because they actually are.
I'm going to interrupt you right there, because I go up and down the river every day, and they are on the beach 90% of the time. I see it. This is just one picture. I see it all the time. So I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay, well, you know what? We have 6 people working by Zoom, and they go out and sail at 6 and 7 o'clock. They go paddleboarding and sailing late. So right now, if you go up and down the river, do we have a boat on the beach? I don't. Right now, we could have a laser on a dock. We could have a laser on a dock.
Yeah. Well, we're glad. My feeling would be that that we can move the boats around after we use them and remove them from the beach. If that's what you think would be a good road to take. So yeah, we're open to that.
We're happy to do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other comments or concerns, questions from the commission? Kelly, I'm going to go over to you. Any further comments or concerns?
I don't have any further comments. Maybe just a requirement to perhaps limit the number of structures, and that there be no boats stored in the vegetation, that they be removed and stored in an upland location, and then just reducing the amount of structural storage on the beach, and then obviously no more cutting of the vegetation.
Okay, are you looking for an enforcement order to that effect, or do you want to take the approach to just ask that to be done at this point, and then
well, I guess there's 2 different ways of doing it. There's requiring after the fact permitting and providing guidance on what would be approved under that process. It might be simpler just to do it as an enforcement order that requires the removal of, maybe one of the structures and the removal of the boats, and then it can kind of just be handled that way, and with a date set for action to be taken. That might be the simplest way of doing it. It depends on how the commission feels about requiring an actual permitting process as an after the fact.
All right. I mean, I was going to propose that they have to file some sort of after the fact here filing anyhow. So I would agree with that. Okay. Let's see, Paul, you had a question?
Yeah, no, you answered it. I was wondering about the after the fact filing, and whether that's the simplest way to go about it, and also just the provision that when they're done with the boats, they take them up. I don't know how far it is up to the yard, but they should put them up there when they're done with them. Sounds like maybe there's enough folks to help with that. So.
Okay, so it looks to me as though we're looking for, oh, I'm sorry, as I get the rest of the commission, anybody else on the commission? If not, what I'm hearing then is that you're looking for an enforcement order that will cover after the fact filing to cover the existing kayak rack and elevated structures. Kelly, you said you wanted one of those structures removed, to also require that there would be no more cutting of the beach grass, that all boats be stored above outside of the resource area and outside of the buffer if at all possible. What else am I forgetting? I think that's it, right?
If I may, looking at these pictures, the one on the lower left, if they remove those 2, because that's only holding a boat a piece, and keep the upright one, although it's ugly as sin, but they can hold 4 boats on that, and just remove the ones that only hold 1 boat. The lower frame outs would be my suggestion.
Ellie, could we leave?
Tom.
Hold on. Okay, so Tom, go ahead.
No, I agree with Ellie's suggestion.
So you're saying both the lower elevated structures?
That's fine, but don't take the 4 vessel structure down at this point.
Okay. All right, so just you're looking for permitting of the upright rack and
Exactly.
removal of the other 2.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any further discussion among the commission?
What about the bench?
Bench.
Isn't there a new bench I'm seeing a picture of? Is
Well,
that,
that's a repair of a very old bench.
Yes, that bench has been there for a long, long time. Although I
Okay.
don't know if it has a permit or not, they should permit it, but it has been there for a long, long time.
so
Well,
should that be,
they should just put that on the permit, then include that on the permit. So it's there, it'll be recorded then, and we'll have record of it. All right, so so the enforcement order will read for the removal of the 2 elevated structures to permit after the fact the 2-tiered, 4-tiered upright rack and the bench and the walkway. Is that correct? The wooden walkway? And then, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, that's the bench. Never mind. And then to cease and desist from cutting of the beach grass on the beach, and to remove the boats when not in use from the resource area.
Okay, I guess.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not quite clear on your initial statements. Could you just repeat what you said initially?
We can issue the enforcement order that details all of this so that you have it clearly as to what's required.
Okay, Kelly, this is Lyda. I'm just begging that you allow us to keep one of the lower racks, because those are the racks that the children could put their opties on. And it just shows one boat on it, but we have young kids that can't they can't lift the boats onto the bigger rack. And so that's why we have the lower one. So it's just, that's why we made it lower, and we only have, it's not a rack, it's just 2 perpendicular pieces of wood so that they can walk along. 2 children can hold it and walk along and put the boat on it. So it's not a rack like the rack before. It's a much simplified version. They're just 4 perpendicular bars instead of a rectangular frame. So we did it so they could walk the boats onto it.
Okay, so you have the option. I mean, you're going to be filing an after the fact filing. You always have the right to ask for things, but just understand that just because you're asking for it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. So if you want to ask for one of those, you can certainly put that and include that as part of the application, but there's no guarantee that you'll get that.
Okay, well, I was just hoping that you would, in your filing, would allow us to just remove one, the way you initially said.
It's not our filing. We're going to issue the enforcement order. You'll have to adhere to what the enforcement order has to say. It's going to say that you have to file an after the fact. What are we doing, RDA, Kelly?
If you think that's sufficient, we just need a plan that shows everything on it. So.
All right, so it'll be an after the fact RDA that will show everything. And if you feel that you have to have that extra elevated structure, you can try for it. And like I said, if the commission feels that you've made an argument for it at the time of the application, you might be able to get it, but it's not a guarantee. All right, that's what we're doing. So you have the right to ask for anything on your applications, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get everything you ask for.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something? Ask something?
David, go ahead.
Just for clarification, the pictures on the side, looking at the what was given to me, which said cutting in the beach area, and then underneath that are 2 racks with 2 boats on it. And on the other page, there are 2, looks like 2 or 3, I can't tell, squared or rectangle racks. Are those different racks? Are they the same with boats and not boats? Just
That's
need
what
some
we-
clarification. Kelly, can you show, so if you look at the picture Kelly has up there, you have two boats on the lower left-hand corner. Kelly, can you put the other page up? No, no, another page, I think. The one with the two square, the rectangle.
That was the same, hang on.
I think he's talking about the
The
original.
one with the aerial view.
Oh, the
Yeah, yeah, the one with the, so those things there, are those there still or?
those are the, what was there previously.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, so Kelly and the commission, are we clear on what we're asking?
Yes, I think so. I do have some concerns with an RDA just because it's a request for determination. It's not going to issue a permit as such.
Okay,
I know that an NOI is more arduous, but you know, it
Okay,
allows you to have conditions. This is a resource area, so we really need the ability to have conditions included in that. So I think a notice of intent would be more robust in that respect.
okay. All right, so that makes perfect sense, Kelly. I totally agree with that. So we're looking probably at 8 weeks, you know, as part of the process. Then it'll probably be like, I would say at least 8 weeks before they could get a notice of intent filed. So,
Okay.
is there any further discussion among the board? All right, Kelly, you're set with what we're doing then? With it, we're going to go with an after the fact notice of intent.
Yes.
Okay. To the Lloyds, do you understand what we're asking then?
Well, I guess we've never
Not
done
exactly,
it
no.
before.
I'll
All right.
provide some guidance when I issue the enforcement order, just so you know what the next steps are.
Do you want us just to remove them now? We may leave, and so do we have to just take them out now?
Well, the one we were asking that it be removed. Or sorry, we were actually asking for both. So I would suggest you just wait until the notice is heard. And you can designate which two are supposed to be, the two that are supposed to be taken out. You can designate also the one that you want to keep. And then we'll make that decision at the notice of intent.
So you would like
Okay,
us to
thank you.
wait then before we did anything?
So I think you can leave it for now, yes. Is that, if that's all right with the commission?
By the way, these are racks that are like other people's racks in the river. So we're just trying to make a nice spot for our grandchildren that they actually can enjoy the boats and keep
Okay,
them.
we understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion to issue the enforcement order?
So moved.
Thank you, Ellie. Is there a second?
Second, David.
Thank you, David. Kelly, you want to call the roll?
So Bishop was recused. Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Oh, aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0 with 1 recused.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Thank you to the Lloyds. Kelly will be in contact with you then too to when she issues the enforcement order.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next order of business is another violation for 94 Pleasant Street. This is just an update.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to just work quickly through the next 3 because all 3 of these have been rectified. The additional float at 94 has been removed, and the floats at Mayflower, 22 Mayflower and 140 Mayflower have been removed.
Okay, and you're all good with all those then, Kelly?
Yeah, those are resolved at this point.
All right, any questions among the commission? All right, so do we need any votes on any of those then? You're all good with them?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay, So we're all finished with those. Next order of business is another violation for 56 Pleasant Street.
Okay.
Unresolved dock violation.
Sorry, I'll just get to the right slides. Okay, so this is 56 Pleasant Street. So the previous site plan from 1987 showed two 10 by 6 foot floats, so a total of 120 square feet. There's no permit on record, assuming that the dock predated the regulations. There should, however, be a Chapter 91 license to confirm what the configuration was supposed to be. I've contacted the property owner through a violation notice last year and this year and haven't had any response. So I guess my update at this point on this one is that I'm going to move to issuing an enforcement order. Really, the idea was to just get in contact with the property owner so that we could agree what was supposed to be there and if any changes are required. But without any contact with them, it's difficult to resolve it. So I'll move to an enforcement order to force that discussion. The indication from the previously permitted plan, which was for the bulkhead, so it just shows the dock on it, but it wasn't for the dock, it was for the bulkhead, showed 2 floats, and there are now 3 16 by 8 floats. So there's a total square footage of 384 square feet, which has occurred at some point since that plan was put together. So obviously there is an expansion of floats well beyond the 200 square feet. So I will issue an enforcement order for that one so we can hopefully get the applicant to come before you or just rectify the situation in the field. So I'll keep you updated on that one.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, another violation notice for 12 Jesse's Lane, return of an unpermitted float.
Okay, so on this one, I'll just grab it. The float, there were jet ski floats that were removed last year under a violation notice, which have returned this year. I was on site with the property owner when I was doing the certificate of compliance inspection and asked him about the jet ski floats. And he commented that his plan was to register the floats as a vessel so that they wouldn't be considered to be a float and therefore didn't need to meet the local bylaw regulations for float size. We have, I don't know that this one has actually been registered yet. I haven't received any more information on it. At the moment, because this just came to light when I was last out on site, I haven't issued anything further for this, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because we have a similar situation with a nearby property. So what we decide to do for one will impact what I do for this one as well. So do you want to talk about this issue of the registering floats as vessels generally so that we have a position to move forward with?
Yeah, I would suggest that's how we handle it, and I would make the motion that, or the statement that we don't recognize floats as being registered vessels. They are floats, and they are treated as floats, not vessels.
I have a problem keeping a straight face through this.
Me too, Tom. I'm really fighting it. So
just a question, Ed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just a question on this because it seems to be a bit absurd. But if they're registered as vessels, don't they have to have vessel numbers? Like a boat has a number on the side. Do these things have those numbers if they're said they're registered?
I think the other one said the other one, the one downriver does, but again, I don't think it's. I mean,
So
yes, you would have to, but I'll let you know,
Yeah, I
either
think it's
Kelly or
ridiculous.
Ellie might have more to say on it.
Yeah, so
Well,
that the intention of the property owner at 12 Jesse's. I don't know that they've done that yet, but the property owner at 202 Pleasant Street has actually registered theirs, and it does have a registration number on the float.
Really? Holy mackerel.
So in my 35 plus years as in the Harbor Master Department, when you have a vessel that is homemade or uninspected or anything else like that, you have to go through the Mass Environmental Police. They come down, they inspect the vessel, they give you a vessel, a hull identification number, which you have to put on the hull of that boat. Then you can go and get it registered. I don't know how they got this registered, who from MEP gave it the okay, but the registration thing is kind of iffy as far as I can see. And, you know, the model is classified as a float. So I don't know how you can get a vessel out of a float. So I don't know how that got that way.
So I think, I'll go ahead, Kelly.
No, I would just, yeah, based on everyone's feedback and speaking with town council and speaking with the waterways department with the state, the Chapter 91 program, they all agree that this is a float, this is not a vessel, and that under our bylaw, it should be treated as such. And therefore I would encourage us to just proceed with enforcement action as they are floats.
I would agree. I would support that.
I support that, Pat.
I support that.
I support that.
Yeah.
I think you all know my feeling on it.
Are you against that, Ellie?
So in terms of 12 Jesse's Lane, sure, the next course of action I would suggest is that I issue an enforcement order giving them 10 days to remove it, after which time there would be a $300 a day fine until it's removed.
I would also support that.
I would support that, but I think we do have to keep our eyes open because it is the end of the season. They will take it out and it will more than likely appear like it did again, miraculously appear next year.
Yes, I see this as being an ongoing issue, so we're going to have to upgrade our monitoring of all of these docks in the spring.
And perhaps look a little closer at our bylaws to get around this legal stuff that they're trying to pull.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to. I think we'll probably want to start thinking about how we address that. We have that our next regulation discussion coming up. So I think that would be a good something to discuss as well there.
Okay, so I guess.
All right, Kelly, you want a motion to issue the enforcement order?
Mhm.
Okay, do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, David.
Thanks, David. Is there a second? Thank you,
Second, Ellie.
That with the 10 days to remove and daily fines after?
That's right.
Yes, that's what I motioned.
Is the commission okay with the $300?
That's my motion.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's David's motion. So
Okay, thanks. So that was and sorry, who seconded? Ellie.
Ellie seconded.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye, and I would issue even more fines if I could.
Huggins,
Aye.
Mulhern.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I wonder if there actually is a registration for that. And
Is there a paper registration?
yeah, I mean, it's really easy to go buy some stick-on letters and numbers and say, oh, it's right.
Actually, there was a registration that was sent out that does have the registration on it, but it does not have the registration sticker on it per se. And some of the stuff in there I find kind of questionable after looking over these things for years.
Well, we will have to watch it for sure because I doubt it's going away. Right, next one is another violation. This is 202. This is the same issue then, Kelly.
Same issue, yeah. For this one, the float has been registered. I sent you through the correspondence from the attorney at Shannon Law Associates. And it has been registered. This one, they had received an enforcement order for which required them to remove the floats by August 31st. I did receive an email from Mr. Shannon asking that the enforcement order be continued to September 17th because he and Mr. Sullivan are traveling at the moment. I guess my only response to that is that this isn't the issuance of an enforcement order. This is a response to an enforcement order that hasn't been complied with. And effectively, we're just giving them another 2 weeks of their floats in the water. So I would prefer to act on this now rather than delaying another 2 weeks.
I would agree.
Kelly, correct me. Is this the one that has the MS numbers on it? And I was confused with the other one?
Yes.
I think so.
It is. Okay. Okay. So this one, yeah, has MS numbers on it, but no sticker. The other one has, I didn't see anything on that. So I stand corrected. Again, registering a float is just, yeah.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for a moment? I have received a message from Mr. Amarello, who was for 56 Pleasant Street. Apparently he's in the audience, but didn't raise their hand during that item. So if when we're finished with this, if we could go back to that one, because I didn't give him the opportunity to speak.
All right, we will.
Thank you.
All right, so any further discussion for this one other than I think we're looking to just issue a new deadline for this 10 days. You want to do 10 days from now, or 10 days from issuance, or is that what you're looking for, Kelly?
So they were to be removed by August 31st. So
they're
To get a fine.
Why don't you give them
September 1st.
to the? I was going to say, why don't you give them to the 16th, September 16th? If they don't have it out, we'll be able to take care of it at the next meeting then.
Well, I think what Kelly was saying is if we give them that much room, they have it through the season, and that she thinks they had plenty of time to deal with this, and we should start finding them.
Refuse to deal with it, is what Kelly's saying, as I understand. They refused to deal with this. Therefore, there should be a fine.
A fine. Agree?
Okay, so you're saying issue the fine now
Yes,
and give them another 10 days to get it out? Is that
before they get hit with 100, an additional 100.
so?
Okay.
Do the fine now and also say they have 10 days to get rid of the float, or they will start facing new fines at $300 a day.
I
Okay.
don't know. If they refused, I think we should hit them with 300 and then give them 10 days and then start 100 every day after that.
I agree with Ellie.
I agree with Ellie.
Okay, so we're saying 300 now, and then 10 days to remove, and $100 a day thereafter. Is that right, everybody?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep, I
Okay.
agree.
Yes.
Any further discussion on that? All right, would somebody like to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second,
Tom.
Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie. Kelly, want to call the roll?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Winstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. I will go back to hear a comment from the homeowner at 56 Pleasant Street for unresolved dock violation.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah, go ahead. Just state your name for the record, please.
I'm Joe Amarello and my wife.
Nancy Amarillo?
Okay, thank you. Did you have a comment for this?
Well, just wanted to let you people know that we're into our second year in this home. I spoke briefly to Kelly last year when I got the notice, and she recommended that I research my Chapter 91 permit, which she gave me the permit number, but went online and I wasn't able to get that information. I tried a few times, but I mean, of course, we're not looking to change anything. We're happy with, everything we have here on the waterfront. Per the assessors, this is the information I got with my violation notice. This dock was added in 1980 without a permit. So I guess my only comment would be, I mean, we're new, obviously I'm new. I don't know what went on in years ago, but I mean, this dock has been in the river for 40 years. And I just wanted, I guess, some guidance on where we go from here.
Okay, we said we were going back to 91, the 91 agreement, is that?
No, per assessors, dock was added in 1980.
I'm sorry, it's like I'm saying the chapter 91. Is that what we're using for the plan of record then?
Yeah, if there's no permitting on file, we use the chapter 91 license as the record, but we don't have that. We need to see that.
It's in existence. We just don't have it right now. That's what you're saying?
They don't know if it's in existence. That's why I'd asked the property owner to go and get a copy of it if it existed. So to go to the waterways program with Mass DEP and ask them to help with finding it if it exists, and if it doesn't, then there needs to be
permitting.
So that's where
Mr. Amarillo, do you understand that then?
Kelly was nice enough to give me my chapter 91 license number, which I guess you can go online. And as I say, I went online several times and I was unable to come up with.
Sorry to interrupt. What was the number?
Let me see here.
Because I don't think I have.
It was a 4-digit number, chapter 91 license number 1661.
Okay, I'm not sure where that is come. I'm not sure where I would have got that from. I don't have a copy of the license. Unless it was referenced on a plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm starting from scratch here. We did speak roughly this time last year, and I was told that this would be available through the DEP.
Did you speak with them in the waterways program with the DEP?
There's no number. You go online and you just keep trying and following this thing. And I
emailed them yesterday and they came back to me this afternoon. So if you send an email to the general information email on there, they should be able to get back to you pretty quickly.
Okay.
So they may not be answering their phone right now because of COVID, but they're certainly still in contact.
Okay, no, I understand. So now, once I get that permit in hand, where do we go from there?
So then we would look at that license to see how it compares to what you have in the water at the moment. The previous permit plan for this property shows 2 smaller floats. So that's our reference at the moment for what was approved at the for what is considered approved at the property. So if the DEP license shows something different, we would compare it, and then the commission would need to decide whether any action is required at this time.
The sheet that is shown, that's the sheet that was sent with my violation notice, the sheet that was shown on the screen. On the top of the sheet, it lays out that there's the 2 10 by 6 floats were shown in 87.
Mm-hmm.
Now there were 3 16 by 8. But the comment that the dock was added in 1980, I don't understand that comment. That means that these floats were put in 1980?
Well, I don't know. That's just the only information I have is there's a note in the assessor's card saying there was a dock that appeared in 1980 because they just do that in terms of valuation of the property. I don't have any permitting on file for the dock. All I have is this plan that was put together when the bulkhead was done, which shows the dock at that point. So I'm just gathering any information I could to try and get a history of the property.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. But I believe this plan must be the chapter 91 plan, I guess. I don't,
No, this is the permit plan for some work that was done on the property on the bulkhead. This was a part of an application to us in 1987.
oh, I see. So this just represents what was existing in 87.
Mhm.
And we don't know when that third float. So if I desire to keep that third float in the river, what would be my next course of action?
You would need to file with the commission a permit application to get them to approve with a plan to approve that configuration.
Okay,
I would just be mindful that what is there is significantly larger than the regulations allow, so you may not get approved for the configuration that's there. So you might want to consider other alternatives that would be more approvable.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, why wasn't he asking these questions a year ago when he was informed of this problem, instead of now where he's been slapped with a violation? It's pretty frustrating. We're seeing more and more of this.
Yeah, I mean, my tendency would be to say, you know, go back to what you're seeing. If that was an 87 plan for the bulkhead and that's what was existing, it's showing 2 8x10 floats, then I'd say that's probably what was supposed to be there at the time. I think we're being very generous in allowing him to go back into a 91, and I would also agree. I mean, I just had conversations with the folks at 91. Again, the same thing. I sent an email to the general box yesterday. This afternoon, I heard back from them. So they're not going to be answering their phones, but they will be answering their email. This needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of sooner rather than later. So, you know, you have the time to go ahead and issue just send an email to them. They will get back to you, I would think, very quickly. And we need to start working to resolve this. I think we're being generous in that respect. And I will tell you right now that anything over 200 square feet on floats, I ain't even gonna look at it. So that's just me, but I'm just gonna let you know right now that 200 is the maximum. I'm not gonna look at anything above that, just to give you your own, so you know, a little bit of guidance from, at least from me. That I'm speaking for myself, not the commission.
Well, I echo your feelings on that.
So I would say right now, Mr. Amarillo, the first thing you need to do is you need to send an email directly to the general mailbox for DEP Waterways and wait for their response, which I'm sure will come in relatively quickly. Once you get that first response, then you will be able to set up some sort of a meeting or some sort of a means of contacting whoever is going to be guiding you through it at DEP, and you should be able to. We should be able to see some sort of resolution, I would think, relatively quickly. Then, if there is a permit on file, they should be able to find that relatively easily. And I think that's what you need to aim for then, going back to whatever was on that chapter 91, that original 91 permit. That's my opinion. I got nothing more to say on it.
okay, no, I appreciate that.
So can we get a time frame for coming back to us?
I'm gonna reach out to DEP tomorrow, and I'm gonna well, we'll email tonight, whatever, but
Send the email tonight.
yeah, well,
Okay, send that now. And then why don't we aim for 30 days for now, Kelly? And then as long as they're showing that they're making an effort to contact, if we have to extend it by another 15 days or whatever, we can do that at that time.
Okay. So if I continue to a meeting, or do you want me to just handle it offline at this point?
I'm sorry, you cut out for me. I didn't hear what you said.
Do you want us to continue it to another meeting for an update, or shall I just deal with this outside of the meeting once he's heard? So like, we're not continuing it to
Why don't we continue it for a month and then you can give us an update
Okay.
and then we can go from there. We can make a decision at that point.
Okay. So continue to October 1st, that would be.
Yeah, I would just as soon allow you to work on the sideline and deal with it that way, but let's go for an update in a month on October 1st. You understand that, Mr. Amarello?
Yeah, no, we're on it, and I'm sorry for the confusion. I didn't mean to disrespect the board, but I'm on it. We appreciate all your information and all your help, and I'll be working with Kelly within the next week or so, and hopefully have something for her.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Amarello. You have a good night.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving back to
Did we take a motion to continue that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have Ellie, will you make a motion to continue?
I make a
1st?
motion, we continue that to
For an
October
update?
1st.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I second it, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulholland.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, next one is a violation update for 10 Surfside Terrace, and sorry, it's an enforcement order. 10 Surfside Terrace.
So I received photos and confirmation from the property owner at 10 Surfside that the floats have been removed. So they must have removed them after I did my last inspection, but they were apparently moved in July. So I consider, and well, actually just let me look at my notes. There was, the remaining float is larger than what was permitted, but it is under the 200 square feet. So if the commission's okay with allowing that float, I would just suggest maybe an updated plan to show what's there currently, so this doesn't come up again in the future as there being an oversized float that differs from the approved plan.
Sounds good.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so do I have a motion to ask for a revised plan for this property? And they have, what, 30 days to get it?
Yep, okay.
That good? Okay, so is there a motion to that effect?
So moved, David.
Thank you, David. Ellie
Second.
seconded. All right.
Whatever, below.
All right, Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Bishop,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Bernstein,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Oops,
Aye.
Higgins,
Aye.
Mulholland.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, another violation for 361 Great Island Road.
I just lost my agenda. Okay, so not sure what I did with my agenda, but 361 was one that I haven't sent out any violation notice for at the moment. It had come up, you might be aware that with David's help, we're looking at all of the docks on Sweetheart Creek at Great Island, because there was some thoughts that maybe there was some non-compliant docks in that water body, and it turned out most of them are non-compliant with their permitted plans. So this was one of the more compliant of the bunch. So I wanted to just get this one resolved because how to move forward was a little unclear. I will be sending out, I've sent out violation notices to some of the others, which will be on the next agenda. But this one I wasn't sure quite how to proceed because there was a dock built in 1983, COC issued in 84. The floats at the time were 96 square feet, and I'm assuming that that's because this is a small water body, so there's not much space. Currently there is a larger float, which is 252 square feet. I can't tell when the change was made from the aerials, but it seems like it was made soon after 1984. or at least I can't see the change since 95. The ownership of the property has changed twice since the original permitting. So I don't know whether you want to go back and at this point and require them to change to a smaller float, or to a 200 square foot float, or handle this one that when any other permitting is done at the property, then they would need to bring the float into compliance. A
May
little
I,
bit when property ownership has changed multiple times, but sorry, David, I interrupted.
no, I interrupted you, Kelly. Go ahead, finish and then I'll.
No, that's fine. I'm done.
Okay, so I took pictures of all the docks as I kayaked through. I also kayaked through the other day just out of curiosity because of the desire to dredge. I was curious how deep it was. Anyway, I think, Kelly, is it proper to look at the whole system? Because there are a number of docks there that I think are non-compliant. And if you make this one 200 square feet and we make all the others, then we then kind of have to make all the others 200 square feet. And I worry about the space for boats to get in and out, number one. Number two, on the Google map I looked at, that you sent me, Kelly, at the originally to kind of take pictures of, there was an added dock that's not even on the Google map. It is on the map that we got from Sweetheart Creek. It's the multiple one at the very end on the left as you're looking at the map. I don't even know who owns it or who permitted that. So I'm a bit concerned. There's also a jet ski rack that before I came on, you people voted against on Bass River. And there's that's what precipitated all this. I was kayaking through and I saw this jet ski rack. I said, wait a minute, didn't I just remember a vote that they didn't want these jet ski racks? And there's one sitting there. So all of this, it's amazing how many are, I think there are only 3 out of 10 or 12 that were permitted. Am I right, Kelly?
Well, maybe three that are compliant with their permit. Yeah, a lot of them have permits, but then they've expanded their floats over time. And yeah,
Right.
I agree with your point that this is a small water body, which, although the regulation is 200 square feet, that is maximum size, and sometimes it's not appropriate. If this was like Surfside, where Bass River allows more space for a 200 square foot float, then fine. But I think there was a reason that a smaller float was permitted originally. It's just difficult because of if it was done a really long time ago and the property's changed ownership a couple of times. From a legal position, I think it makes it more difficult to go back that far in time. I know that we are considering each time these floats return that it's a new violation. So we can look at it in that respect.
So are you saying that we can't require the 16 by 6 float that was there in 1983?
You can require them to go back to the float per the approved plan.
Okay.
We have no permitting on file for anything else.
Thank you for the clarification.
Ed?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I just have a question along those lines. Now, these are floats that these folks take in and out every season, right?
That's right.
So if they take it out and then in the springtime they put it back in, aren't they putting it back in violation? I mean, so for example, the COC was issued in 1984 for 96 square feet, and now the thing is 252 square feet. So technically, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but every time they put that darn thing in, aren't they violating that 1984 COC? And so isn't there at least grounds for a discussion about, look, you take it out, you can't put it back in, okay, anymore, because it's in violation of what it was allowed there.
Yeah, so, and I think that's the basis for most of the enforcement that we're doing on these, where the changes have happened a longer time ago, is that, yeah, every time that float comes back, it's in violation because it doesn't meet the approved plan.
So wouldn't it necessitate a letter, at least from the Conservation Commission or from you saying, look, take it out, but don't put it back in. Because if you do, you're going to be in violation and you're going to be subject to fines or difficulties, et cetera, and you have to file a new permit. I mean, wouldn't that be a way to sort of chip away at these relatively egregious situations?
Yeah, that's definitely an approach we can take.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly, are you sure they're taken out every winter? Because I don't go there, but
I think for the most part they are. I know that I'm not as familiar with Sweetheart Creek. I know on Parker's River sometimes they don't take them out. I think most property owners take their floats out, but I could be wrong.
Smart thing to do, but
I believe they do take them out because it does get pretty thick when it gets cold up there and starts freezing.
yeah, I think I've been out there. I now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've been out there and have seen them all out. So it would be the smart thing to do. That's for sure.
Okay, so does everyone agree with
Um,
the violation notice requiring they remove the unpermitted float and that it not return with the new season?
I would agree with that.
certainly get them moving.
It'll make the other ones with the longer floats start thinking twice about it instead of saying, well, I just put it in there to see what would happen.
And also they're coming to our meeting on 9/17 asking for dredging. It's certainly something we can bring up then, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go with what I heard. All I heard from Kelly was she sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher. So I'm just gonna go with whatever the commission says. If you're agreeing with her, then let's go with what that. Do I have a motion to that effect then?
So moved.
Second,
All
Ellie.
right, thank you, Ellie. Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Not sure I'm talking to you now. Bishop?
Blah, 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 blah. Aye.
Durkin?
Aye.
Bernstein?
Aye.
Lawrence?
Aye.
Hoops?
I think you said.
Huggins?
Aye.
Mulhern?
Aye.
Motion
So just-
carried unanimously.
Just for clarification, are you sending letters to all the Sweetwater Creek people who are
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've already sent some. I'm doing it in batches so that I don't come through at the same time. So I've got another batch lined up to come for the next meeting, and then I'm going to send out another batch.
Okay, we're all set then. We're moving on to other business. A request for an approval of a minor modification to SE 83-2143 Parkers River Restoration Project. It's a change of date to agree with Division of Marine Fisheries. It's moving the bylaw restriction 14 days to November 1st instead of November 15th. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm very
Yes.
pleased to see it.
I agree.
Yeah, all set.
Is there a second? Oh, sorry, is there a motion?
There's a motion.
Thank you, Ellie. Is there a second?
Tom.
Second.
Thank you, Tom.
Bishop.
Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Bishop?
Aye.
Durkin?
Aye.
Bernstein?
Aye.
Lawrence?
Aye.
Hoops?
Aye.
Higgins?
Aye.
Mulhern?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, minutes of July 16, 2020. Anybody have any comments or questions, concerns, or would they like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Conservation Commission minutes of July 16th, 2020. I thought they were outstandingly prepared. And I would just like to mention one small typo on page 6, line 13. We changed the word is to as.
Oh, that's pretty serious.
Imagine that.
I'm just waiting until he sees what the minutes I type up, how many corrections he has for those.
No, I'm asking for Kelly's forgiveness for mentioning that.
That is perfectly fine. I like the perfect minute.
All right, so Tom made the motion with one minor change, and is there a second?
Second, Ellie.
Kelly, Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Hoops,
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Wilhan,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Huggins,
Aye.
Bernstein.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. And finally, we have a request for approval of vista pruning on town-owned conservation property at 20, across from 27 Longview Drive.
Okay, so people left in the audience, so this may be the property owners. I'll just change up the slides. I got a little behind there. Oh, here we go. So this is Longview Drive, the yellow lines are the parcel lines. So you can see this parcel at the end of the roadway along the water is a conservation parcel. And then the property at 27 Longview Drive is abutting that. And they were looking at doing some vista pruning between their house and the water. And I was reviewing it as an administrative review, which is typically how I would review, simpler vista pruning requests. But when I looked at it, I realized that part of the work that they're proposing is on the town parcel. So as that property is managed by the Conservation Commission, I need to get your approval if you are okay with them doing pruning on the town parcel.
All right, questions from the commission?
Do you know of a landscaping corporation company that is going to do this? Like Witten or anybody, Kelly?
The name that's been provided is Treescapes, Cape Cod.
You don't have any,
I'm very hesitant to have work done on town land unless you have the most reliable people.
Yeah, I know that the commission has voted against allowing trimming tree work on town properties before. I met with these property owners, and I can see that they're in the audience, so I'll just allow Gretchen to speak. But I met with the property owners, and they do appear to be very good stewards of their property. But I do understand also that this is not been something that the commission has approved in the past. So that's why I wanted to bring it to you for your opinion.
Kelly, do you have any on-site shots of, the property itself instead of just the aerial, or no?
Not that I can easily show you right now.
Okay. I just want to see how it, develops when it's on the land instead of just the aerial, because it could make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I could probably bring up some photos if you give me a minute. I could just send them to this computer and I could show them. It's basically, they don't have any lawn area at the property. It's like a gentle slope from the house down to the water. And it's mostly, wooded with, I guess, mostly oak trees. The property owners have been working pretty diligently to remove all of the vines from around the trees to keep them healthy, and they are looking at planting native vegetation around the house area. So I can see that they're good stewards of the property in the buffer zone. So I don't have any concerns with regard to them actually managing this work and carrying it out. I think it really just comes down to whether the commission are okay with a third party doing work on a conservation parcel. The idea to a certain extent was that these parcels remain natural and undisturbed. And I know we have denied these requests in the past. So it's kind of a difficult one because I don't see an issue with the work being proposed if it was on their property. So.
All right, Paul, do you want to?
Yeah, I think this might have been answered, but so the pruning would be, you described, Kelly, oaks and so on and so forth. Now, what would that entail? Would it be folks getting up in the trees and cutting limbs so that they could
Yeah.
sit down to the water?
That's right. It's just removing selected limbs so that it just opens up the view through the trees to the water a bit more. So they've given me, and I didn't share these on the screen because they're kind of difficult to really see. It just looks like kind of a blur of branches and green. But they've given me images that show the branches that would be removed. So it's very selective. Nothing, yeah, it's like upper, it's small suckers off the side of the larger trees, and then a few sort of medium-sized limbs, but no like sapling removal, no tree removal as such. I think there was one tree that was.
Is there access to that conservation area, or is it just wild?
So there is a pathway from Longview down to the water that I think the neighborhood people use to access the water there. It's fairly natural. It's not particularly well maintained. This property does have a small path that comes down from their property and joins that public path that goes down to the water. That area, I mean, there are some people have stored some boats down on the conservation property. But other than that, the property's in pretty good shape.
Well, I don't know. Does anybody else want to take a look at it before we approve it? I think that might be because we have a lot of questions on this that, if they're good stewards, we would like to help them out. But I think there's still a lot of outstanding questions that we may want to take a look at the property before we make any decision. That's just my feeling.
Can I say something?
Okay, Paul, can yours wait, or do you want to get your comment in first, and then I'll go to Gretchen?
No, I'll just listen to it. I'm all set.
Okay, Gretchen, go ahead.
Okay, so most of what's down there, and it's really hard to tell from the aerial here, most of what's down along that little sandy path that you see running along the water there is bayberry, which we wouldn't touch at all. And then that nasty vine that has the big thorns that pierce through everything. And that vine is climbing up in the trees. So again, as Kelly said, it's mostly the scrub oaks and some pine trees, but the vine is just climbing up through there. And, I've been pulling it down, which is helping, but it's impacting the health of the trees as well. And the ground, and I think Kelly mentioned this, the ground slopes, you can't really see from the aerial, but the ground slopes down a lot. So there's a lot of trees down along there that we just see right over the top. They're not even big enough to impact the view of the water at all. So the only thing we were trying to figure out was if we could take off some of the mid-level small branches and the sucker growth. Just nothing at the top, because that stuff's all like really high and it doesn't block our view anyway. And certainly no trees. We weren't planning on taking down any trees at all.
Okay, thank you. Paul, I'll go back to you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ellie that it would be something that I think we might want to take a look at, because it sounds like there might be some precedent for not allowing this kind of thing. But if it would somehow enhance the area in terms of the health of the vegetation and so on, at least we'd take a look at it and see what these folks had in mind. The vines and so on and so forth, we all have, I think, problems with vines climbing up trees, and typically I see people just cutting the vines and then they die off at the top. But anyway, maybe we can just postpone it and go take a look sometime. That would be my suggestion.
May I, David?
David?
I'm not an arborist, so take this for what it is. But when I lived in Western Mass and had lots of trees, And then down here, actually Treescapes did work for me, and he was excellent. And what I learned was by cutting some of the branches, you're allowing wind to get through. So in a windy event, oftentimes it saves the tree versus the wind grabbing all of the tree and knocking it over. I had 3 events in Wilbraham in 1 year, one being a tornado, and our trees were pretty good at the end of that tornado because of that work. So I agree with Ellie, we should see more, but maybe we can get a statement from Treescapes exactly what they're going to do, and how it would enhance, what Paul said, how it would enhance the trees, because I think it would.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? So I'm getting from everybody would like to continue this for until the 17th and have a chance to go out and take a look at the property and maybe see something, any kind of correspondence from Treescapes or what, anything, any ideas or plans that the homeowner might have as well.
I make that motion.
Okay, and just I'm gonna just before we go with the motion, I'm gonna comment to the homeowner. I just, you know, this is something that the commission does not typically allow any work to be done by private parties on commission property, the conservation property. So what you're asking is it's a stretch, but I think we're at least going to be looking at it, and then we'll give you an honest assessment on it. But I don't want you to think that this is approving at this point. It's just that it's a further research. Just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. Okay.
Sounds good.
Gretchen, good. Okay.
No, that sounds, that sounds totally fine. Do you have any sense, because we're back and forth, it's a vacation property, and I mean, obviously you can go over there and take a look, but if we're there, it's helpful because we kind of a little bit better know where the property line is, if that's helpful at all.
Okay, well, obviously the commissioners, we don't. Well, I mean, sometimes now we don't do a group visit. So there will probably be commissioners that stop by.
Okay.
They will certainly knock on the front door before they start walking around, if that's okay. And hopefully, if you're there, you'll be able to maybe help answer questions. If not, they'll just go ahead and take a look at the line and go from there. All right.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Rick, you had one last question?
I do. It's not a question, it's a statement. I would very much like to thank the property owner for reaching out to us in advance. It's an unusual occurrence. We really appreciate it.
I'm going to give kudos to Treescapes because we had them come a few years ago and do some work over the roof of the house. And I asked him about doing water down there, and he said, I can't do anything down there unless you talk to the town. So.
Well, that's good. I think we need to bring Treescapes in and give them a gold star then, because there's a lot of landscape arborist companies, mostly landscape. I hate to say it that way, but that would not have. They would have taken the money and run and done the work. And if you got caught, you would have been paying the price for it. So thank you. And this is a very difficult decision for me personally, because from what Kelly has told me, it is something that you're doing everything you should as a good steward of the land. So I'd certainly like to try and help things out, but there's also this nasty precedent that we also have to consider too. So yeah, we will all take a look at it in the next 2 weeks and meet back here on the 17th and discuss that further. If there's no further discussion, then Ellie's made a motion to continue.
Paul has his hand up.
One thing.
Paul, yeah, go ahead.
Is anybody gonna be home tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow.
All
and
right.
later in the day, and then my sons are down there too, so.
Okay, all right, thanks. Maybe I'll knock on the door. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
All right,
Rick, you
so
have your
Ellie's made
hand
the
up?
motion.
If I just might, perhaps we could change the intent of this from vista pruning to stabilization and health of the vegetation.
And
It's a
maintenance.
different idea.
Maintenance.
Maintenance, good girl.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the motion then. Hold on, let me get my participants back up again. Any further discussion amongst the commission? All right, Gretchen, you have your hand up, but you're all set?
Yeah, no, that was from before.
Okay, great, thank you. Ellie's made a motion to continue to September 17th. Is there a second?
Second, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Kelly, call the roll, please.
Oops.
Did you say hoops?
I did, yes. I changed the order, sorry.
Aye.
Durkin,
Aye.
Mulhern,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Bishop,
Aye.
Liggins,
Aye.
Bernstein.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, Gretchen. Any other staff updates, Kelly?
Not really, no. No news on reappointing the admin assistant at this point.
Have you had any feedback, Kelly?
A little, not particularly positive, but some feedback, but I'm just, yeah, gonna wait. Dan's out of town this week. So I think I'm gonna be meeting with him next week.
Right. Ed, can I ask a question, Kelly? Were all the departments cut to a degree because of the revenue shortage?
Well, there was a hiring freeze, which is why the position hasn't been filled. However, positions are being filled. So I'm not sure what the selection process is for which positions get filled and which don't. But it was a hiring freeze rather than budget cuts across each department.
So when they did the hiring freeze, it was there was no prioritized list of what, if something went out, what would come back first or anything like that?
Yeah, that's the question that we're asking, and we haven't gotten an answer to that at this point.
I'm wondering, did anybody get a response from Dan Napick from their letter? Because I certainly didn't.
I did not.
I did not.
I just said something today, so I asked for a response, so I don't know if you.
Well, I asked for one too, but so I'm wondering is there something we could do, Kelly, or you want us to sit tight until you have the meeting with him?
Yeah, I think we'll give it a little bit more time, seeing as I think he was called away unexpectedly this week. So we'll give a little more time for me to be able to meet with him next week.
Do you have a positive sense from the development section of the town administration? Community development people?
Not particularly.
Oh, Jesus.
They're not doing too good.
Well, she's honest.
No, I mean, there's definitely well, I guess, I mean, there's definitely concern, yeah, amongst the team that there needs to be some help for me. But it's just difficult to figure out how to make that happen. So I think there's definitely an appreciation of the problem. That's but it's just how to find a resolution is the issue.
You could run for mayor, Kelly.
So just another question, when the hiring freeze happened, was that a recommendation by the town administrator and it was voted on by the selectmen to approve that? And also, as far as rehiring people, is that brought to the selectmen from the town administrator and then they approve each position to come back?
No, I think that those decisions are just made at the administrator's office.
Okay, so the selectmen don't vote on it, or?
No, I don't think so. I'm not aware that there was a vote for the hiring freeze. I may be wrong on that, but I think that was a decision.
that would be something that he would inform the selectmen of, right?
Yes, I'm sure they would have. I think this was all came about when they were looking at how to get the town through this period financially because of the decreased revenue. So it was all part of that discussion. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Whether there was a specific
Thank you.
vote.
All right, so we'll wait. Anything else, Kelly?
I don't have anything else.
Anything else from the commission? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn at 7:02?
This meeting hasn't gone on long enough. It's come on, can't we stretch it out longer?
I do not recognize the person from Mill Pond, so.
So moved, David.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Kelly, you want to call?
Oh, he's a glutton for punishment, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm going to remind him of that.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mohan.
Aye.
Bishop.
Aye, and I have one thing I want to share with the commission, but after this.
Okay. Huggins.
Aye.
Lindstein.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just so everyone on the commission knows, we are hosting the kickoff meeting on Tuesday, the 8th, to begin the process of improving the Upper Bass River watershed. The SNEP grant was officially awarded to us, Friends of Bass River, last week. And I'm not wasting any time. I'm getting all the engineering firms together and we're going to kick it off.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Good work. You're going to reestablish the bog up there. Is that what you're planning on?
Ultimately, that's it. Yeah. And reestablish the waterway to the fish ladder and the historic spawning grounds for the herring.
Wonderful.
Does the grant is it a grant you said, Rick?
Yes, it ends up being just shy of $260,000, and we are responsible for another pretty significant match to get it up to almost $300,000 with work.
Okay.
And 100% of that's going to the engineering firms Wood Solo Group, Ty and Bond, and Interfluve, and a new car for Kelly. No, what am I saying?
I thought you were going to say a new assistant for Kelly. I think she needs that more.
That might help the permitting along.
That's exciting news, Rick. Congratulations.
Yeah,
excellent.
Thank you.
Now at this party, if you show up early, do you get your own pick of your own shovel? So I assume you're actually having us do the work then too, right? Like dig the ditches and rechannel things and.
Oh, Rick, I know somebody who's very good at digging ditches in the water. You want me to give you his name?
I have his name. No, so I'll be virtual. Thank you, everyone, for indulging me.
All right, everybody.